This is the tutorial for making traditional slides on ProPresenter. First you'll load up ProPresenter. Then you'll get your web pages ready that you'll need to be looking at, which is the Planning Center services. You'll be logged in here with your ID. I'm logged in here, or I leave it logged in as Adrian. That way I can add team members if they're not already assigned. That's all I really do with it. I'll show you that right here. There's plans. So we'll go to our next available service. We'll click plans. Navigate to traditional, to the next service that we'll do, which is the 18th for us right now. Once we're there, we can see everything we'll need to see to make sure that we have the right slides made. Over here are different teams. This is where our group usually is, and everyone is on there, or at least an email has been sent for them to confirm and be able to open this plan Sunday morning. Then we have Dropbox. Right now, again, I guess I'm just logged in as Lewis. That won't really change anything. It changes what you can see and how much you can navigate. But you'll have access to all the John Wesley folders. And we just want to make sure that we're looking at the month that we're in right now and the year we're in. And that way we can see what we need for this upcoming Sunday. And we'll just only download the announcement graphics for now, because these items may change, or there might be items added by at least Friday. These are usually what's in these is our videos, our welcome videos. And the bumper has been the same recently, but you can also get different bumpers. Sometimes we used to do different bumpers for modern and traditional, slightly different music, but that was it. Now we do the same bumper, and that'll be usually in the folder of the month that sermon series starts, because the bumper is for the sermon series. So we'll go to the day we need, and we'll go ahead and download these graphics as the whole folder. And that'll be in our downloads. What I like to do is open Finder and find the downloads folder. So now I can open downloads, and that way I can see it in the folder. I can unpack it. I've made several, and it'll move it around, but you just kind of want to have it open. You can open another Finder window to downloads so that you can look at something else like the current bumper if it needs to be changed. But this will give us our announcements, and we'll basically just see what's changed. We'll try to put everything down on there, and then when we run out of room on ProPresenter, we'll know we've either added slides or lost slides, and we'll be able to tell from this what slides we should keep and what slides we should add. So we'll have this window open for our announcements when it comes to adding announcements. We have already used a Dropbox, but I just keep it open through the week so I can check on it to see when things change. And I usually have mail open so I can see when I get emails from the pastor or when I get an update on the sermon. I'm able to see really easily just what he needs to send me. This was a message after I was supposed to have received this sermon, hadn't received it yet, but he sent me a picture, and that let me know he wasn't able to send the sermon, it didn't go through, and then I had to communicate with him and ask, and we got that later in the week. He usually turns it in on Thursday, depends on which pastor, on how long the sermon takes to get to you, but it's usually on Thursday. Marty's really good about that. So I'll leave it on this window, and we can start looking at ProPresenter. So we'll look at ProPresenter. We are looking at our services. That's this plus button next to library, this plus button next to library, Planning Center service, and then we'll go to the sanctuary. That's where our services will be. And we'll go to traditional worship. That's what we're making right now. And we're on part 3. That's the next available sermon to make, but this can be outdated. It might need to be refreshed. Let's make sure that part 3 is the one that we need. Part 3, that is next Sunday. That's the 18th. So we'll go ahead and grab part 3, and it'll give us the outline of the entire service. And we'll have several items already made that are a basic template for what we'll need on each service. What I just did there was I pressed the magnifying glass next to the item. It'll automatically search it based on the name, but what we put at the beginning is the loop, the graphic master loop. We use the graphics media loop, and we'll go ahead and link that. You can also drag it and drop it, whatever's easier for you. We'll get that loop, get that graphics media, and we'll go ahead and put it on the prelude music. Judith will be playing piano, where the choir will be singing something at this time, when these might be going up. Or the video will be playing, our countdown video. So we have all of our announcement items here. Now we'll go back to that Finder folder with the announcement graphics, and we'll make sure that we have everything where it needs to be. So we have the Connect graphic. It hasn't changed. We have the Ways to Give graphic. It hasn't changed. Need Prayer graphic. It's the same. Let's double check that email on it. Yes, that's the same. Get Connected is the same. Flip Flop Festival, we have it, and the date's for Sunday, October 9th. And we have it, and the time is 4 to 6 p.m. 4 to 6 p.m. Yeah, we got that one. Come Grow With Us. That's through September 21st. That hasn't passed yet. Dinner and Studies have the same times. That's the same graphic. Connect Cafe, that's 5 to 7:30. Let's see if we have the 5 to 7:30. Yes, we do. That's good. Men's Dawn Patrol, Wednesdays at 8:30. Let's see if that's the same. Yes, we have that one. Wednesday night dinner, September 21st. Let's see, I think that's changed. Yes, September 14th. So we update that one by dragging it and dropping it, and now it's updated. Community food distribution, September 24th. Yes, we have it. It's right here. JW Kids Music, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Let's see. Yeah, this changed. We added a date and time. instead of just register. So that's different now. Lectio Divina, that is the same. We have Wednesdays noon, Facebook Live and Prayer Chapel. That's right. We have our follow along for our series. Yes, that is the same. Prayers for a time of discernment. And it is the same, July 17th to October 14th. Wesley Fest coming up September 30th. We have that as well. And that is actually the last of the announcement graphics. So our announcement graphics are updated. And we have this here. This wasn't in our last announcement graphics folder. And it says now through August. So we could stop advancing it right here. So instead of letting it go forward again, we can just click right here and stop it. So we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And everything else is current. And let's double check to make sure that we didn't need to keep that. That was our grab bag, our grocery bag announcement graphic. And we do not need it. So that was right. This is our countdown video. It is set to play at a certain time during each service. It goes off about a minute, about 16 minutes before the service starts. It's 15 minutes long. It goes off that extra minute early so that we can also play the welcome video immediately after. So for traditional, the video will play. We might have to mute it while it's playing because Judith will start playing piano and we'll put it on this logo screen. And we'll wait to play our welcome video until Judith is done playing piano. So we have our chiming of the hour. This is where Judith will chime. We don't have anything here. We're not going to put anything up at this time. We have the welcome video next. So it's called the traditional welcome video, the trad welcome, because it's different from the modern. It has its own file. So this is Jamie. She's doing traditional. Let's see what's in our folder. We check this with Dropbox. Not like that. There we go. So we'll navigate JW 2022, and then we'll go to September. We'll check the 18th. See if there's anything here. We do not have anything here. This is going to go in our welcome. I assume that's why it's here. But just as an example, I'll go ahead and go to our welcome videos folder. So now we need a new welcome video. We're not going to play Jamie 2 weeks in a row. So let's say it's Lisa. So go ahead and download that video. We'll go to our downloads folder. We're in downloads now. And we have Lisa's traditional video for our welcome. All we have to do is drag that over. And it comes with this theme. We have to get rid of this white box. Now we right click. We go to our themes. We go to blank. And we go to that theme. The blank theme is just to make it a blank slate. We won't have any text over videos. And then after this is added, we add the video setting. Over here, we can look at what screens are being sent out. Right now, we're looking at the TV that is attached to the sound booth. There's 3 TVs that actually attach to the sound booth, and this is what's on it. So here we can see all of our different screens. These 2 don't exist. These are backups in case something happens. This is our screen that we show the band and the pastors and the choir. This is not used unless we have an LED wall that we build set out on the stage. This is for special events or when we go set up the LED wall and do something with that. This is the LED wall that is in the sanctuary. There's 2 LED walls in the sanctuary. They look like giant TV screens, but they're those screens on the walls. And we have lower thirds. That's what goes out online. And we actually have to review this every time we make a slide with text. So right now we are on the screen we want to be looking at, the sanctuary stage. And now we'll check this video to see if it shows what we wanted to show.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Truen, the Children's Music Director here at John.
This is what we want to see, this
whether you're joining us in
time right here,
or online,
so that the pastors know what time it is, what time it is, and what time they have left. This shows how long the video is, and this helps pastors to get into position when they need to speak when the video is about to end. Now there's another way to add content, and you don't want to do this for videos. So let's say we had this video here by itself, and we wanted to change it. Now you can drop it directly over like we did with announcements, and we don't have a theme, so it looks okay, but this changes our timestamp.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa
This
Truen,
makes it black.
Music Director here at John Wesley.
For whatever reason, this puts our macro before our media, and since our media needs to be before our macro, it will make our time completely black and not show. So if we put it right next to it, we make our theme a blank theme. We see media first. That's what this picture symbol is. We add our video setting.
Hi everyone,
we have a video
I'm
that
Lisa
shows
Truen, the
properly.
Children's Music Director.
Now we have our call to worship. We have this made its own document by itself so we don't get confused. And we put that out. Our call to worship is found in Planning Center. So we go to Planning Center, we go to our call to worship, we click on it, and that way we can access the text that is in it. So what we'll do here, or what I like to do, is do a quick edit. It'll pull up a screen that we can edit this, and we can go and select what the leader says and place it where the leader is speaking, right here. Now let's see how that works. So we would read this, and if there's any kind of pause in this area, you want to go ahead and make it the next line. What I mean by that is it should be very easy to read, and each thing should be read like a statement. Through the abundance of your steadfast love, we enter into your house. So let's see if we can put this on the bottom line. Through the abundance. That doesn't work. This one's a bit longer, but we kind of want to have this shape to it. That's like this. Small here, bigger here, widest here. Hopefully this one will be wide, and then small, and then smaller to complement the top. We bow down to your holy temple. And that's a good line all by itself. That looks good. Don't have to put it on another line. That looks good. And then we'll get this one ready for our next set. I'm Command C, that's what I'm pressing, Command C, to copy what I've selected here. And then I'll double click on this text to be able to select it. Select it all, Command V. Let us hear and take in your word today. That's good as one line. And then we'll get what the parish says. Copied that. Command V, we will trust in you, Lord, and not on our own understanding. This is part of that flow I was talking about. It might not look more appealing because it's this triangle underneath this flat line, but it is better said this way. We will trust in you, Lord, and not on our own understanding, as opposed to something like this, which is a better square, but it doesn't read as well. We will trust in you, Lord, and not on our own understanding. And that's good. Sometimes they are 6 lines long. This call to worship is 4 lines long. In that case, what I would do is press Command C, press Command V. Now I have a copy. And then you could do the same and add the next set of lines if you had 2 more lines to add. Now we have a hymn, a national hymn, God of Ages. Now we'll check that. Hymn number 698. That's when you get your hymnal, just to make sure. And we'll check our lyrics. Stephen writes these out, so this might not be the best because he doesn't always spell words correctly. Yes, so it looks like he may have copied this from an actual website that does this well. But since he's really just following the hymn as it's written in the hymnal, what we can do is go to hymnary.com and copy it and make sure that we have the right hymn lyrics. And then we can double check with the hymnal book that we have. 698 United Methodist Hymnal. Let's check that out. United Methodist Hymnal, Hymnary. Hymnary. We'll go to full text. And this looks better than how he has it, because I'm almost positive people aren't going to want to see the sustain that he has written out this way. So we'll go ahead and take the normal version, copy it, and let's see if we don't already have it. We do have it, but I wanted to use this as an example, so I'll make a file we can get rid of later. We'll go ahead and get this right. God of the Ages, hymn 698. God of the Ages, traditional items. We want to make sure that it's saved in traditional items since it's for traditional. And that's a good file name. So what we need to do is put a background on it. And then we'll go ahead and edit That means we're zoomed in here. That means we want to zoom out. And now we'll be able to make this by putting all of these words in. God of Ages, hymn number 698. We could duplicate that. Command A is what I press to select everything. And then I press Shift, Option, Command V. And that gives me everything matching destination formatting. And since we're going to want to separate these into what verses they are, we'll separate 1 from 2 from 3. I'm pressing Option, Return. And that makes a new slide separating the words wherever I put the cursor. So now we'll go back through this at Show. Since we can't do it here, go to Show, and we'll group these with verse, two. We can double check these, but we can remember what they are because it starts with 1, 2, now we're at 3. We have verse 3, and now we have verse 4, and now we need to make it look good. We need to separate these out. This looks like one long sentence. We'll separate that. God of Ages, whose almighty hand leads forth in beauty all the starry band of shining worlds in splendor. Through the skies, our grateful songs before thy throne arise. We're getting rid of all the punctuation. When we make lyrics for the song, we don't have punctuation. We get rid of our number. We'll make that a slide. In this free land, with thee our lot is cast, we'll make that a slide. Be thou our ruler, guardian, guide, and stay. Be thou our ruler, guardian, guide, and stay. We'll keep these between these words. We'll go ahead and separate it. Thy word, our law. Pause. So we'll put that in the next line. Thy paths are chosen way. We'll get rid of that punctuation. Verse 3, we'll get rid of this number. From war's alarms, from deadly pestilence. We'll make that a slide. Be thy strong arm our ever sure defense. Separate it there. Be our strong arm. We're kind of changing how we're talking, our ever sure defense. Get rid of our punctuation. Thy true religion. Kind of a pause there. In our hearts increase. Thy bounteous goodness. That's a bit of a pause. That's about one breath of words. Nourish us in peace. Get rid of our number. Refresh thy people, that's a pause, on their toilsome way. Option enter. Lead us from night to never-ending day. Option enter now. Fill our lives with love and grace divine. Option enter. And glory laud. And praise be ever thine. Got rid of all of our punctuation. That is the last verse. So now we want to add our asterisk. This lets the band or the pastors know that the song is actually over and there's not a verse coming up. So they can begin to move. So now we have this all ready. And now we need to make our arrangement. So let's go back and check what Planning Center says our arrangement is going to be. We can't necessarily trust this. Stephen doesn't always put these together with what he actually wants. He'll probably put what we need in the notes. So we'll check the notes. Hymn of Praise lyrics, our hymnal, and nothing else indicates that our arrangement should be any different from what's in the hymnal. So we'll go ahead and use this arrangement in this case. And that means we don't have to change our arrangement. We'll leave it as the master. But to show you how to make an arrangement, we'll go ahead and make an arrangement for this. We open this up, these three little boxes. Pressing it again will close it, opening it here. Then we'll go to master and we'll make a new arrangement. We can call this verse 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Verse 1, 2, 3, 4. We have our background, our title with our hymn number, and then we have all the verses that we have in here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, so we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. Sometimes we'll have 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 4. We'll skip a verse. But this case has us using all of the verses. So with that created, we have to make sure our macros show properly. We want this to be showing the right thing on all of the screens. So we'll go here first. We'll see, well, we want everybody to be seeing this when we start the song. We can put our background setting on that. So we don't have a time like our video setting. And it'll be displaying this on all the screens. The lower thirds will be green. This is right. That means it's clear. This will be a clear overlay in the back. Our sanctuary stage, we have this showing the same as the LED wall in this case, but it changes when we add words. So I have a macro here for traditional service, during worship, during traditional. We apply this macro. We just press it and drag it, and it'll change our views on all the screens. So we can test that by pressing it. We see what we're seeing, what we're going to show the congregation. That's on the LED wall. We look at our lower thirds. We have our lower thirds coming through. Looks clear, looks good. And then we have our stage. This is very different. This is showing us what we have on the screen now and the next words. So now that we have our screen's output changed, when we press on the next couple of slides, or the rest of the slides in the song, until we hit another macro to change what our screens do, we're going to be showing the words we're viewing and the words that will come up. And this is what the choir and the pastors will see. So that's really useful when you're on the second to last slide, you see that the next slide will be over. That helps the pastor prepare for speaking, or to let them know they can start moving towards the pulpit. And we can clear that by pressing this button. So now we have our affirmation of faith. Now we need to make sure we have the right affirmation. So Marty's doing the affirmation. For us, we just have this note that says affirmation of faith. Now we need to find out for sure this is the affirmation they want. Affirmation 889. We usually don't have any media. This isn't actually an image, but it does have a file attached. So we'll go back to our traditional plan for that Sunday. We'll go back to our affirmation of faith. Go to files. We see, okay, he needs the affirmation from Timothy. That's affirmation 889. So we'll go and look for it here. And we have that made. Affirmation of faith number 889. And this is good to go. This has our background, a macro, so that all of our screens are right when we show the background. And then we have a different macro for when the words come up, so that all of our words are right. So we can just test this. We go here. I know that I put this macro on just last week, so I remember what it is, but we need to make sure that it's showing the right things in the right screens. Lower thirds is correct. LED wall is correct. Sanctuary stage is correct. So now we look at the words. Yes, this is how we want words to show in this case for the affirmation of faith. Since this is not a song, we're just going to show the words as they are displayed. Similar to how words are displayed in a sermon, we show basically what the congregation sees on the LED wall. But the lower thirds is different. This lower thirds is it's a different type of lower thirds to our response or our covenant. It's our covenant. We could double check here. We can right click. We can see that this is the covenant macro. That means it has this blue background and it's confined to this square shape. So it matches what we have in the LED wall. We have to check our words to make sure our words fit here, because we will have a case where we might add too many words and it'll go out of bounds and it won't look right. It'll go out of this blue square and it'll look bad in the live stream. So that is good. Gloria Patri. This is a made template. We can go ahead and pick it up. This probably will never change. Might change themes someday, but I'm sure it'll be the same as long as we're doing this. We have our background, and we are looking at lower thirds, and this is how our lower thirds is going to be displayed. Then we'll go test to slide, make sure our macro is right. This macro is actually for our modern service. Let's see which Gloria Patri we can grab that has the right macro. This is for traditional. So this is a traditional macro. See, we could have made a mistake there. We wanted to make sure that our Gloria Patri came from traditional items. So that's good. And that means that it has the right macros assigned and it'll come through correctly on the live stream. These macros change what happens on the screens. I'll make another video showing you how you make them. But for right now, all the macros you need are already made. So that's our Gloria Patri. That's good. It doesn't require an asterisk at the end because we know exactly when it's over. Our words of welcome. This is when the pastor will walk up and welcome everybody and make announcements. Sometimes it's called announcements, but in our documents, it's just called welcome. So we'll go ahead and find a welcome and link it. So our welcome is going to be mostly pre-made and ready for you. It'll have our default here. We actually want to show our welcome. We're glad you're here while he's talking, while he's beginning talking. Well, we'll show this if he has an invitation to our church, if you want to join our congregation. If he has that kind of message, we can show this. But at this time, we usually just show the welcome until he starts talking about announcements. And then we have our sermon series here, because he might mention what our sermon series is, and then we can display that when he mentions it. Another tool that we have is that we can show their name. That's on the LED wall. Marty Dunbar would come up in our live stream, but not in person.
Obviously she knew what she was doing.
So we'll clear all that. And this is where we'll make sure that all of these are pretty much the same as announcements, so that if he does mention anything, we can have it all ready. We'll always make sure this is basically the same as announcements. We'll make sure that everything is up to date. We won't be mentioning a town hall meeting on September 11th, on September 18th. We can go ahead and delete that. This can be updated from September 7th. We go ahead and find our announcements folder.
She's obviously some freak anyway.
And navigate to our Wednesday night dinner. Right there.
She used to teach.
And we could drop it on top.
Professor of law.
And we always make a new version. Funny things can happen when we press use existing or write over. So we'll just go ahead and add a new version. And we don't need to change the theme. And our macro is going to work. It's not going to change anything that our macro comes before our media. It'll still change what the screen does. Unless ProPresenter starts to crash. In this case, ProPresenter is crashing. That's what this would indicate. This means ProPresenter is crashed and we need to restart it. Perfect example. This is pretty reliable at crashing. So we'll go ahead and quit it. And we'll restart it. Awesome, and it opened right back up where we were. It even had that saved where we updated it. So now I can show you, yes, the macro does work. We're showing what we want to show. The background setting macro makes that image play on all the screens in-house. And in the live stream, it's just a green screen because, again, this is overlaid over whatever we're showing, whether it's what's coming out of ProPresenter or one of the cameras. And it takes this and makes it clear, and it'll show if we have any lyrics. It'll make it look nice. It'll show the lyrics for live stream people over a camera angle if they're here. Otherwise, it needs to be green. That's how our system in the back makes things clear. So we have everything ready to go on our welcome. This needs to be changed. It is not 5 to 8 anymore. So if he does mention it, we need to make sure that we have the right graphic there. And we'll go ahead and make it a new version. Goes in the same place. Doesn't actually change anything, but it's updated. That's what the new version does. This is outdated. We're not doing this event anymore. We can get rid of it. We know that this changed. We saw it when we looked at our announcements. So we can grab that updated graphic and drop it in and make it a new version. This is updated. Everything else is updated. And it looks good. Some of these are not being used anymore, but they don't have an end date on them. So these will get left for a couple weeks after in case they get mentioned again, because there's no end date to these groups or events. Like this has got no date, it'll just stay in there. And once we stop the event for sure all year long, then we'll go ahead and delete it. But we'll leave an event like this up until we don't do it anymore. So now, where he leads me, refrain. Go ahead and look for it. Where he leads me. Let's see, we have a hymn number, we have the hymn title. It looks like this is a well-made file ready to go. And we have from Planning Center an arrangement automatically added to our file. So we'll go to our arrangements and we'll see if this is the kind of arrangement that they want. But they actually don't want that, because we see this is also from Planning Center. We have a refrain here. We only want the chorus. That's what the refrain is. So we'll go ahead and go to our arrangement that has already gotten refrain on it. It's only refrain and a background. So it's our background and our refrain. We don't even need a title. It's like the Gloria Patri. It's a short part of a song, and we know exactly when it ends every time, so we don't have an asterisk. And we can go ahead and close our arrangement, and this is ready to go as well. So we have third grade Bibles. Now, we saw something about this earlier. Third grade Bibles, we have it made. It's a special event. We'll go ahead and link that. And let's see, from Dropbox, we had something about this. So we'll go to traditional. We have our third grade Bible screen. Go ahead and download that. See if it's any different from the Bible screen that we have right there. So we'll go to most recent downloads, third grade Bible screen. We'll put that over that. Okay. We'll go ahead and make it a new version. It is the same. And so we'll have these kids' names on the next slide for who is getting a Bible. We may or may not have this. We'll just have this ready. We might get an email or a text from Adrian that'll tell us if we should have any names. We'll ask. It's good to text and message when you're not sure. And we'll make sure that we don't want to have any names ready or whose names we should have ready. My Lord, What a Morning. That is a song. Let's see if it's a hymn. We'll go to our Planning Center. And we'll check that out. My Lord, What a Morning. Steve Itton solo at a lectern. Let's see what he wants to do. He hasn't given us any notes for what he wants us to do. There we go. It should be here, but it's here instead. Lower thirds. Please add Hall Johnson to title slide. Okay. So this is not a hymn. There's nothing that indicates that this is a hymn. We always check our files to make sure, but this is a PDF scan of whatever it is, and it is not a hymn. It does not have a hymn number. It's not written by Charles Wesley. That's not always a giveaway, but it usually is with hymns. And this has all the lyrics to it, but we do have lyrics written out for us. Again, these aren't always right, so we'll definitely have to make sure that spelling is right and words are right. and we have what looks like a refrain and then 2 verses. So we'll go ahead and make the song and make it the way it's shown here, and it looks like everything is spelled correctly. So we'll go ahead and make My Lord What a Morning. Yes, we definitely don't have it. A good way to get the title right for when you're making a totally new song is to search it, press Command C. That gives you what's typed into Planning Center and given to ProPresenter. That gives you that right here, and you can copy it, and then when you go to make it, press Command V. It's all ready to go. We'll make sure we put this in the traditional items folder, in the traditional items library. And we'll go ahead and make that a new folder. We'll add a background. We'll get a background setting macro on that background. And then we'll start making these slides. With the title, maybe we'll be able to add it there. That's good. Then we'll duplicate. And then we'll go ahead and copy what's in this document. And add it. We don't know what that one's for. We'll go ahead and get rid of it. Everything's already in the right kind of format. We know when the refrain ends because we see a 1. So we'll go ahead and separate this with Option Return or Option Enter. And we know 1's separate from 2. So we'll go ahead and press Option Return. And we're going to make 2 slides out of each one of these because they're 4 lines long, and we only want 2 lines on each slide because when it goes through lower thirds to the live stream, it won't fit if it's 2 slides. There are special cases where we'll make lines with 3 slides when Steven wants to show more words on each slide, but there is a separate macro for that, and I'll show you how to make and modify macros later. But this is what we'll do for pretty much every song we make, just as an average normal song. So we have our refrain here, and then 1 and 2. So we'll go ahead and make those separate groups. So we'll make this a refrain. Right click, group, verse 1, right click, group, verse 2, and we'll start editing these again. We'll go ahead and get rid of the refrain. We'll get rid of those commas at the end. Press Option Return, that's 2 lines. Oh my Lord, what a morning. Since there's 3 lines left, we'll make this one 2 lines. Make it its own slide, and then we'll get rid of punctuation here and here. Now we can work on the verse. This is gonna stay 4 lines. That looks good. Option Return. Now we have 2 lines on each slide. That looks good. Now we have verse 2. We'll get rid of our numbers and any punctuation, and we'll go ahead and separate this 2 lines, so we have 2 lines on each slide. And I'm assuming, the way this is written, that this will be the end, so we'll put an asterisk there. And since we have no other indication of what the format is, we'll leave it this way. We'll have to probably ask Steven that morning because he does not respond to our emails. So now, we did see this note that says, please add Hall Johnson to the title slide. So we will add Hall Johnson to the title slide. We'll make this 50. And we'll say, by Hall Johnson. Just like he has here. Hall Johnson. And this is good to go. Not quite good to go yet. Look, this is our background slide. Now we're looking at lower thirds. When we press this, we get this in the middle of the screen at lower thirds. Now this is going to be on a camera angle while the song is going on. So this would be covering people in the choir, people's faces, probably Stephen's face. This would not be good to have. So that's why we have these macros to change it automatically instead of us having to go through more advanced settings and change this each time we have a song or a sermon, each time we change to a different part in this service. We want to make sure that our screens are changing automatically. That's why we're using these macros. So we'll go ahead and apply this macro, the traditional macro for worship, and it'll change what comes out on the other end. Now I like to add multiple of these before a song because the computer won't always switch completely to this immediately. It might show like this, depending on who the operator is. They might miss the first couple and maybe press this later on, and then it doesn't have the updated macro for showing words in the live stream, and it'll look bad in the live stream. So when we start a song, we want to make sure we press the first few slides at least anyway, so everybody sees that in-house, and then we're able to show what we want to show in the live stream in lower thirds. And again, that's switching our sanctuary stage as well, so singers can see the words better. Now we have pastoral prayer and Lord's Prayer. We'll just take a Lord's Prayer file. We'll use that. It has a prayer graphic for when they start praying and when they start to do the Lord's Prayer. We'll put this background up and we'll use this with this macro. This is going to show a traditional worship macro. This is different from our modern. So if we see this, we know it's for traditional. So we'll look at our offering talk. Offering talk prayer, that's already made up. When they start talking about giving to the church, we go ahead and put this up, and they'll likely pray later. So we'll put this up, and I'll switch the screen so you see that it's coming out at all, that it is changing when I press this. And that'll also help you know when ProPresenter crashes. So we can see we have everything we might need when the pastor is talking. This is if there's an invite or if maybe somebody's making another comment, another pastor comes up and says something. We have this ready. If we're not doing a prayer, and if we're not talking about giving, and if we're not already into the next song or whatever. Let the trumpet sound. We don't seem to have that, so I'll copy that title. Let the trumpet sound. Lower thirds with lyrics. That's right. There was lower thirds on the song before. So lower thirds was requested for this song. So what we'll do is we'll click on this slide, press Control A. It'll select everything in this item. We'll deselect our background by pressing Command and then clicking on it. And then we'll hold down Command and right click on this slide or any highlighted slide. We'll go to Themes. We'll go to CMG Templates, and we will find our lower thirds that we like to use. For traditional, we usually use Special 3 as our lower thirds. And that keeps our formatting. Our title is bigger than our artist credits. So this looks good. That's how it needs to be. This is not a hymn. We won't make any hymns lower thirds. Let the trumpet sound. So now we need to make sure that we need to make it. Yes, lower thirds with lyrics. He would like to actually have lyrics for this instead of just a title slide with what the song is. And here we have a request to add the author underneath the title. So we'll add our title. We'll go ahead and make sure that's in the traditional items library. And we'll make a new item. So now let's see our lyrics. We don't have a file to read, we just have lyrics. So let's see if most of these words at least are correct. It looks like pretty much all of these words are right. So we go ahead and select them all, press Command C. We right click on this. We actually had to click on this and then click on this again and right click and edit to open that. And we need to put a title here. But let's see if we can get the title out of the lyrics we just copied. Yes, this is our church license. This is our song license. We can actually go ahead and stick this somewhere else. Deselect our text box. We can show our copyright here for our song. This is truly just extra work if we're already putting our author in the title. So we'll go ahead and leave this alone for this song. Most traditional items will be this way. Let the trumpet sound. And we go ahead and add another one. We can make that our title. So we'll get rid of our exclamation. Let the trumpet sound, and let the children of God arise and worship. So we'll go ahead and make that its own slide. And let the children of God arise and worship. Let the trumpet sound. And let the high praise of God be in the air. Hear all you people, God is good, and good to those of us who fear him. We can leave that as one line. I'm pressing Option Return to make that its own slide. He has not treated us as we deserve, but has called us forth. He has called us forth into his marvelous, glorious light. Option Return. Let the trumpet sound. And let the children of God arise in worship. Option Return. Let the trumpet sound. And let the praise of God be in the air. Holy and righteous are his ways. That's good. Wisdom and justice go before him. Amen. His is exalted far above all gods. I'm sure it is meant to be he is, and perhaps he was doing voice to text and it says his now. We can double check that because we know we couldn't copy it wrong. So we'll see if we can find the lyrics somewhere. Not these, because these are what Stephen has typed out. So let's see if we can read the music. And we can't. Okay, this is good. This has our words on it. Yes, he is exalted far above all gods. We shall praise his name. Yes, this is where we are. We don't necessarily need to correct this, but we will for the sake of the congregation. He is exalted far above all gods. we shall praise his name. We actually will go ahead and add that to this next line. All I did there to get that back was press Control Z a couple of times. So I pressed Option Return. His great and wonderful, excellent name. There's a pause there. So while it may not look like there should be a pause, they did put a comma, so we'll go ahead and separate it at that point. Get rid of the punctuation and make it the next slide. Let the trumpet sound. And let the children of God arise in worship. That way it's less of a mouthful on each line. Let the trumpet sound. Go ahead and separate that. And let the high praise of God be in the air. That's good. We'll get rid of this licensing information. And this is good to go. Other than we need to add an asterisk. So now we have our title and we have our background, and we don't necessarily have a verses, so we can't really order this song, so we'll leave this song without groups. We know we need it to be lower thirds, but we can do that this way. We press on the slide, press Command A, deselect this slide by holding down Command and left clicking, and now we can hold down Command and right click on any selected slide. We go to our themes, we go to our CMG templates, we go to special, select that, and now it's down. And we also remember we wanted to add some sort of credit to the author of the song. I believe it was Curry. So what we'll do is we'll do what we did on the last song. We'll make it 50, and this is 50 now. And we'll make sure that Curry is the Craig Curry. So now we'll put Craig Curry. Oh, that's what happens when you don't press Shift Option Command V, because it'll keep the source formatting. So Shift Option Command V, and we have our destination formatting. We have our asterisk, just double checking that. We have a background. Now we need to make sure our macros are right, otherwise things are not going to display correctly. Like this should only be visible in the live stream. Part of what the background setting macro does is make sure that this only appears in the live stream. Right now it's showing to the congregation, and whatever setting we have right now is showing worship. So let's go back to our, and this isn't right either. This should not be showing this at this time. We'll go to our LED wall. We'll go to select the background setting. Oh, I put that macro behind the background on accident, and it created a new slide. All we have to do here is delete it. We go back to our background setting. We put that on the right slide on the background, and now we're displaying the right things. It's coming through in the lower thirds, so it'll be visible on a camera angle, but we do want to show Facebook and YouTube our licensing number that we are allowed to use these lyrics. So now everything's showing correctly, and we'll go ahead and add our macro for traditional lyrics. So now this changes what the pastors and the choir are going to see, and it's displaying correctly to the congregation, and it's showing the right thing in the live stream. That's really good. And now we'll just add a couple more slides with the worship macro to make sure that the computer changes the screens correctly by pressing the same macro a few times to make sure that all the screens are corrected, because ProPresenter may bug out and not change the screens properly, which will affect live stream for sure, and possibly in-house screens. Now we have our doxology. We have doxology made. It will be this. We do want to make sure nothing really looks different around that. Doxology looks the same. We have our announcement bumper video, and this is our traditional. So I'll type in trad, and we have our bumper. And let's see, is it Marty speaking next week? I believe so. Oh, no, it's not. It's Trish. So we have a bumper for Trish. This is why we check our videos. We want to make sure we have the right bumper for her. Because he mentions Lewis, who makes these, whose voice is in these bumpers, mentions the speaking pastor. So he has this MD here because he is going to mention we're continuing this series with Marty Dunbar, Pastor Marty Dunbar. So we'll go to our current series bumpers, Revelation bumpers. And that's not great. This should be populated, but I did save all of the bumpers earlier. So we actually do have them saved in our downloads folder. Yes, so we have this folder with all of our different videos in it. So that's good. So we have our Revelations. We're continuing the series. This is not the last of the series. This sermon is not. And so it's continued. And then we got TW for Trish Woodruff. So we'll go ahead and put that here. Instead of putting it directly on it, we're going to put it next to it so that we have our media first. Going to clear that theme, put the blank theme on it, and then we're going to add a video setting because we want the pastor to know when this video is going to be over. So go ahead and delete this, and we'll test this.
Thank you for joining us this Sunday for worship in person and...
Let's see what it's doing on the LED wall. That looks good. Let's see what we're showing the stage, and that is good.
online.
We want to be showing this counting down. We have our scripture reading. Let's see if we have anything to put in the scripture reading. Nothing as of now. We'll have to check back on that tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. Make sure that nothing changes. We have our invitation. We're not doing the message right now because we do not have our sermon from our speaking pastor. We can't make the message until we have our sermon because that's all the message is. It's the sermon. So we have our invitation. This is when the pastor invites people to join John Wesley. We have an invitation graphic we put up at that time. We have a prayer here because after messages, pastors like to end their sermons in prayers, and we have a prayer graphic immediately available because the invitation always comes after the message. Come, ye pastors, sinners, poor and needy. And let's see if this is right. It looks right. It looks like everything's here. We have what looks like an outdated macro. It's white. I don't use any white macros. All my macros have colors. So this macro is outdated, so we'll go ahead and remove actions. What we did right here was I right-clicked, I went to remove actions, and I'm going to click this macro. It'll get rid of it. So this is all looks pretty good. This doesn't have an asterisk, and the choruses are next to each other, and this looks like it should end in a chorus. So let's check the arrangement. Do we want to show all the verses? That's full. So let's see. No, we don't want to show all the arrangement. We want 1, 3, and 4. So let's see. No, we don't have that. Let's make a new arrangement. Verses 1, 3, and 4. Perfect. 1, chorus. 2, chorus. 3, 4? No, we want 1, 3, and 4. So we'll actually get rid of 2. And we'll put this chorus in front of 3. So we have the verse, chorus, verse, ending chorus. Chorus 2 is different because it is actually, it's got an asterisk. We need to make it separate because it'll put an asterisk on every chorus if we don't have it separate. So that way, every time it comes to a chorus, it would look like it would be ending. So we want to have a separate chorus, so we have our asterisk. And now we need to make sure our macros are right because we got rid of our macro. We'll put the background setting on there. We'll put our traditional worship macro on there a couple of times because, like I said, ProPresenter likes to bug out. As you saw earlier, it crashed. And now we have the response of the people. This is when a new member is joining our church. And we have kind of a guided, this is what you say when new people join the church. It has its own special macro, so it will display slightly different in the live stream. But you'll be pressing the background first, and then you'll press this, so that the right thing will appear on the LED wall. This is what the congregation will see. The sanctuary is going to see the same thing. So now we have a benediction. Nothing's really happening here. We'll go directly into the next song. If anything, during the benediction, we'll be showing this, and we will get this background from the next song. He leadeth me. We have 2 versions. We are going to use the traditional version, and it is just the refrain because we are only asking for the refrain here. These are updated macros. This is our background setting. It's updated. And this is our worship traditional setting. It's updated. So everything's going to change and come through properly. And we have 2 on there. We can add 3 for extra safety. And we can go ahead and look at lower thirds and make sure it's coming out correctly on lower thirds. And that looks good. And now we have our postlude. This is just goodbye, have a great week. So post service, it has our God bless, have a great week graphic. This changes sometimes. Every couple of months we'll update this. But we'll be showing this to the congregation to indicate service is over. And music will play. Judith will be playing piano because this is traditional service, or she'll be playing organ. And do not cut off the live stream until she is done playing. That is an issue. And that is the traditional service. That's just a really blanket overview of how to get everything where it needs to be. And it's really good to go back through all of this. And it's maybe another 15 minutes, 30 minutes of work. But you want to make sure that everything's right. This is our example. We don't need this. I'm not even sure Lisa's going to be the next thing, the next welcome video, but we'll leave it just in case. I'll find out later. This is very important to communicate with Adrienne. She'll select a welcome video. And we have everything that we needed. We'll double check this. And then we'll go back through all of these things. We need to review lower thirds. We always need to make sure our lower thirds are going to come out right and that nothing looks out of place. And I'm already noticing here we don't have our CCLI, or our church licensing number, showing here. We'll probably have to come back later and get that, and we'll actually put that here in this copyright area. We have our CCLI number for it. We'll be able to get that later from somewhere else, as long as we show our actual church's licensing number and not just the licensing number for the song. We should be okay for most hymns. But we will probably get that information later this week. But when we're checking over all of our slides, we should just review in lower thirds and visually review here and just kind of look at everything here instead of going into the edit. That way we can see what's happening on lower thirds, and if anything is weird here, like spelling, or if, for example, there is an extra enter. See, this looks bad, it's too high, and it won't come through right on lower thirds. So we need to make sure that there's nothing, no extra spaces or extra paragraph lines in any of our lyrics. This right here, this is perfect. Good thing we went back and checked, because this was missed. So we can go into quick edit, we can see what all is here. We press option return here, and it'll make a new slide even just in quick edit. Good thing we went over and checked our slides, because that can happen really easily. Everything looks good, it's on 2 lines. This is pretty thoroughly checked, but let's look at lower thirds again. That looks good. These have their macros right. This looks good. These have macros right. We'll press this first, but just in case we don't, we'll put a background macro here. And then we should have pressed some sort of macro at this point that we would have the macro applied to these as well. But just as an example, we can just blanket apply a macro by pressing command, holding down command, and then selecting all of these different graphics. All the graphics that do not have a macro attached, and then we can press right click while holding down command. We can add an action. We can add the macro. I let go of command. I don't need to hold that down anymore. We go to our macros and we press the background setting. And now all of these graphics have a macro attached. So we're extra safe. This song looks good. Everything is correct here. We'll have to find out about names later. We have this here. We'll make sure that yes. Our lyrics look okay. It may not stay in this order. It looks very strange with a refrain and then 2 verses without a refrain in between them or after them. So this will probably change Sunday morning, because Stephen probably won't be able to tell us, or will just refuse to tell us what we need to know before then. And now we have our Lord's Prayer ready to go. We have our graphics here. They all have their macro. They even have a tool to remove props. That's just an extra check if we have any props. Props need to have a command to remove them. So if we're showing any props here, at least we can get rid of it. We have our next song. We got our title and our credit. It looks good. And an asterisk to indicate it's over. We don't need a title here. It's our doxology. We don't need an asterisk. It's our doxology. The pastors know how long, and the congregation also knows how long the song is. No need for an indication of when it's ending or what it is. We have our bumper, the right bumper, and the right macro, and in the right place, so that when we go to play it,
Thank you for joining us this Sunday for worship.
It's not
in
showing
person
here,
and online.
but we're showing the
As we
stage
prepare
how much time they
ourselves for the
have.
message,
We have scripture reading. We may have scripture reading added to this later. It may change. And then we also have a message, which we'll get later from the pastor when they're finished writing their sermon. Our invitation looks right. Come ye sinners, poor and needy. This looks okay. We don't have it matching our other hymn. Earlier, our hymn has hymn before hymn number. So hymn number 340. So that way this title and hymn matches the other. We have our arrangement is correct. We always need to check the arrangement, even if we think we're done, because ProPresenter can reset, and when it resets, it may just revert to the master arrangement, which is a default. And then when we go to play it that morning, we'll be confused at trying to follow along, and we won't be able to keep up because we'll have the wrong verses and choruses. So we need to make sure that our arrangement is in the right place. After a reset, especially. We have our response of the people. We have our benediction, which is basically saying the service is about to end, and then we'll be on this while the pastor's speaking about the benediction. And we have our last refrain of a song. Again, no need for title or asterisk. We know how long it is and when it's over. And then we have our post-service, which is just goodbye, have a great week. This basically covers getting slides ready for traditional. You'll always want to maybe triple check, make sure that everything's right. Really make sure that when you read a song or read a group of words, that it's going to the next line in the right place. And our titles are right. And our credits are correct. And for now, this looks good.